Because if you really think that you are an entrepreneur, it's very simple. Entrepreneurs are not afraid to go to zero.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Prestige Living Podcast. So with that, who do you want to be? Hello, welcome to Prestige Living, where we host the movers and shakers of Orange County and deliver their audible greatness directly to your eardrums. I'm your host, Jay O'Brien, co-owner and managing partner of RE/MAX Prestige in Costa Mesa, with my co-host and realtor at RE/MAX Prestige, Jordan Wilson.
Thank you.
Today, our guest hails from the Philippines. Well, as a wee toddler. He grew up in San Francisco and later moved to Orange County at age 18. He attended Vanguard University, later leaving to pursue his true passion. No, not build the world's largest software app or see a traditional business idea through, but instead launch a fighting career. Being in the pool of entrepreneurs, I feel we are figuratively getting punched daily, but to actually bet on yourself and becoming a business owner and simultaneously literally get punched every day, I just can't imagine that. So he has competed in hundreds of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches across California and Nevada. He is a registered Camo MMA fighter and a USA boxing competitor. In other words, be nice to this guy. He currently coaches about 35 active boxing members under his own personal umbrella, Maestre and Knight, while developing his new activewear and travel apparel line called Knight. He is a personal coach of mine and an inspiration to many in the community. And with that, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our self-made and progressive guest, Jeremiah Maestre. Jeremiah, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, you fine gentlemen.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Oh, cheers, guys. And happy, I guess I won't announce the day of the week because
we don't know when this is going to be released.
This is going to be a different day when you're listening to this.
Happy day.
So let's get into that. So you were going to Vanguard University. And what were you studying, by the way?
I was studying psychology, actually.
Psychology, yeah. Okay. So at what point did you decide that you want to leave that and become a fighter?
You know what, going back a year or two, I was really into basketball. You know, I was not in like some big superstar, but in the local community, you know, I played a big role at the high school I played at, and you know, basketball was my thing. When I came to college, Vanguard, you know, it's an NAIA Division II school. I didn't know how steep the competition would be at even an NAIA D2 school as opposed to NCAA D2 or NCAA D1 school. So when I tried out for teams, San Diego Christian, I even tried out for Simpson College up in Redding, I was getting no looks. And my ordeal was I was never athletically and physically gifted as opposed to height and size, so I would have to work 5 times as hard as everyone, and when it came to basketball, that no matter how hard I worked, I couldn't seem to get an edge on people that are more athletically gifted than me. So when I was in college, I needed another sport, something else to fuel my competitiveness, so to say. A buddy of mine was working out at a local MMA gym down the street in Irvine, and called No Limits. Actually, it was off Barranca at the time, and he invited me for a class, and I was hooked ever since. And I knew that boxing and martial arts, it'll give me back whatever I put into it. That didn't matter how big somebody would be or how athletically gifted they were. It was a sport that took all skill almost, and that's how I got into that.
So how did you become competitive in it? Because I understand from just a recreational standpoint, you go to the gym, you work out, and maybe this is something you really enjoy. But at what point did you say, like, I want to compete in this, and not only just compete for fun, but compete professionally?
Yeah, probably a big icon that really motivated me was Manny Pacquiao. I know he was coming up a couple years before I even wanted to, but he had a big fight against Oscar De La Hoya. I remembered it was around Thanksgiving time, about a month before I actually moved out to Orange County. And just watching him represent my country, where I was from, and that was a big motivating factor. The fact that I didn't get any looks when trying out for any basketball teams, that was another motivating factor. And I wanted to not necessarily, obviously becoming like a world champion is everybody's dream when they're going into a sport or anything like that. But I just wanted to get into some sort of competition, and open gyms at the school weren't doing it for me. Pickup games at 24 Hour Fitness weren't really doing it for me. So I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to do something that nobody else was really doing.
And how many fights do you think that you were competing in before you made the decision to actually leave the academic route and go fight full time?
Well, Vanguard, I attended undergrad for about 3 semesters. I lived in the dorm for three semesters, and then I ended up moving out. And at the time, I was hearing so much about people being in financial debt when they're in college. So I pulled out of undergrad. I jumped in the SPS program so I could start working. So at one point, when I left Vanguard undergrad, I jumped in the SPS, and I was going to night school every Tuesday from 6 to 10 year round, going through a 3-unit class every 5 weeks. On top of that, I was training full time, so I was doing 2 to 3 workouts a day. And that I was starting to teach kids classes at the local boxing gym and maybe pick up a client or two so I could help pay for my tuition to get through Vanguard.
So at what point did you realize that this trade of yours could actually be taught and you could earn a living off of it, and that would be your sole source of income?
You know what? Unfortunately, and it's sad to say, when my fight career didn't go the way I wanted it to. You work hard and you put everything you got into it, and you don't get the W due to judges or you make a mistake and it brings you down. I'm not trying to have a pity party or anything, but my fight career didn't go the way I thought it would go, especially since I put so much hard work into it. But I said to myself, hey, I could actually make a living teaching what I learned to other people. I saw there was a market for that when I was teaching group classes, cardio classes at the boxing gym, when I was teaching the kids and picking up a couple clients, everyday people that wanted to learn what I learned. And it started to make more sense to me, because when I was in college, I was broke. I didn't have much money, but the few dollars that I did have, I put into a really expensive gym membership at the MMA gym down the street. I think it was like $300 at the time. I remember I was like scraping for food at the cafeteria just so I could pay for my gym membership and get my workouts in. When I first even moved to Orange County, I didn't really know much people. I would drive to Westlake Village to train with just a contact that I met through somebody at the college like once a week, and because they would charge me like $40 or something like that. And I know it wasn't very a smart decision driving out there, but yeah, I would do everything I can to learn and grow and get to where I wanted to.
I want to ask you kind of an unrelated question, because I was so not this guy growing up. Were you like a fighter when you were growing up as a kid? Like, did you get into fights, or is it something that kind of developed later on?
I maybe have gotten into one street fight in my entire life, and it was because an old friend was like talking to an ex-girlfriend of mine, and then I found out he wanted to beat me up, so I told him to meet me at the park, and we went at it, and that was that. I don't think
Is this what I saw on Facebook last week?
I never have gotten to an actual street fight at a bar. I have no desire to. I mean, if a guy is gonna, swing at me, I'll turn the other cheek. It's just no point.
So it's just kind of like the aspect of like something to compete at, like the competition aspect is what
absolutely.
attracted you.
I look at it as another sport, so to say, as opposed to like something, that I'd hold over people and like, hey, I know this, so
right.
Don't fuck with me almost kind of ordeal. That's not how I look at it at all.
So, I mean, you've got liabilities like all of us do, as far as probably rent and a car payment and all these different various expenses each month. When you made that transition from the conventional path of school and whatever job that yielded from your psychology degree that would have been you essentially have to take this path that, or you don't have to, but you've decided to, that is far riskier and obviously much more competitive in order to put a roof over your head and food on the table. I mean, tell me about what made you so confident that you could do that and that you would have the income to survive.
Yeah, at the boxing gym that I was hired at, there was a guy named Andre Huseman. He was the general manager at LA Boxing Costa Mesa, which was the original LA Boxing, created by Sean McCulley, who I'm very thankful for, who really paved the way for us fighters to make a living. But Andre was the manager of the gym. He took me on there to teach kids classes, like Tuesday, Thursday at 4 p.m. And, I remember coming on there and him telling me the potential I could make there, what people were paying, what I was worth, what people wanted to pay for my services, for anybody's services at the gym. And I remember him like very, very specifically telling me on the first day that, Jeremiah, don't be afraid to make money here. Like, to hold your value, you know what you're worth, this is what you're worth. There's no limit on what you could do. And it kind of blew over my head at the time, because I was so like, I just want to compete, I want to go pro, I want to win this belt, I want to get noticed and all that. But at the time, it just went over my head. And then I look at it now, like when I wanted to take it seriously, when my fight career didn't go the way it wanted, I said, hey, I still have this blessing of an opportunity here to make something of what I know. Same industry, just a different route.
That resonates with something that, we kind of preach in this office. It's like, at least in our industry, people are always trying to negotiate what we get paid. And it's like, we have to demonstrate our value first. Mm-hmm. And if you don't value yourself, how can you expect other people to see the value that you bring to them?
Absolutely.
So you had to show your value, and you have the talents and the gifts, and people recognize that, and they'll pay for. I mean, if you're the best, people will pay for the best if they want the best.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that if you're constantly dedicating yourself to your craft, you're just going to provide a better service for people, and you're constantly evolving, because you can't really teach what you don't know. So every single day I'm training 2 times a day. I'm training with my clients. I still have trainers. I have a boxing trainer. I have a conditioning trainer, someone I lift weights with. I constantly want to learn. I constantly want to better myself. That way I could lead my clientele and the people under my banner to success. I never want to be at a standstill. I always want to be growing. And I think that's what's given me the edge over most trainers. I know there's thousands and thousands of trainers out here, and just the constant desire to grow every day.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head, because that's one of the things that I think about when I think of a real entrepreneur, someone who's really growing. It's someone who looks to their surroundings and the resources available to them and really takes advantage to maximize their potential. It's not just, hey, you know what, the ride's been great, and it is currently great, and I'm seeing an upward trajectory, so let's continue that path. Instead, it's like there's never enough. And one of the things I'm seeing as a common theme on this show is that a lot of the guests that we've reached out to, when I ask them, what are moments that you've looked back on and said, wow, that was a major milestone, a lot of them have difficulty answering. And I think the reason why is because if you're really bred to be an entrepreneur, you're not really looking backwards. You're kind of perpetually looking forward. And so even though major milestones have occurred, you have maybe a more difficult time acknowledging them or even recognizing them, because you're still looking at becoming greater and greater and greater. And you don't really see it as you're where you should be, because you'll really never be there, Yeah,
absolutely. I believe that it's a true journey, and there's going to be milestones every day. I could, tell you couple milestones this week that really changed my thought process and
tell us those milestones this week.
Yeah, absolutely. This week we're talking about self-growth. What I started to do is I every night I would write in a journal, and I'd write 3 things that I was thankful for. And I'm spiritual, so to say. I would right? 3 people that I'd be praying for, whether it's a client of mine, a coworker, a friend, you know, somebody that I want to see do better. But I had a pretty shitty day one day, and like, for example, like I had a business problem with a client, so to say, and I was writing the things I was thankful for, and one of them was, you know, I'm thankful that I have clients to have problems with, because there are trainers out there that, you know, are struggling for clients. And another thing I wrote on there, I wrote a goal for the week, and I wrote, train every client this week like I barely have any clients to train. I wanted to always keep myself hungry, always keep myself on point, because I know it's so easy when you're successful to, and I this has happened to me plenty of times, to get caught off guard, to lose your vision, to get comfortable. And when you get comfortable, you lose your attention to detail, you lose your drive, you lose your focus. And I'm constantly trying to stay focused. There's so many things, especially in Orange County, you're going to get distracted.
So on that note, what are some personal sacrifices that you've made in order to make this a career? Like, I've seen it from the outside looking in, as far as just your daily schedule and what that looks like, and how demanding it is of your time. But what are some personal sacrifices that you've had to make, whether it be the startup, time, money, energy, opportunity costs? What are some things that come to mind?
Well, sleep, that's one thing I sacrifice. You know, I used to think I need 8 hours of sleep, and then I started stretching myself a little more. Then I was functioning on 6, and sometimes I function on 4. But, you know, I'm working with that on bettering that and balancing that out now. But a big sacrifice, you know, is nobody's going to pay you top dollar when you're starting off as a trainer. You know, I hear of trainers out there like, oh, I charge $100, I charge $150 an hour. And then I wonder, I'm like, why are you still working a part-time job then on top of that? You need to get out there and grind. And my business model is similar to, so to say, a hairstylist. I base my schedule on a capacity. How many clients do I want to train that day? If I want to train 12 one-hour clients that day, I'm going to train 12 one-hour clients that day, whether it's free, whether it's paid, whether it's half price, whether they're paying me a third of the price. I want to get used to training those 12 clients. And there were times where, you know, I'd work 10 to 12 hours a day and I wouldn't get paid a cent. You know, there were all free sessions that I was giving out to try and get somebody's business and to prove to them. Fortunately, you know, word of mouth travels quick, and a referral goes a long way, and you never know who you're going to meet. We're talking about pivotal or milestones. I remember I was just starting off, like, trying to build my clientele, and I was working out at the gym, LA Boxing, and it was closed. It was a Sunday afternoon, but I wanted to get in a workout and get myself ready for a week. And this guy pulls up on his Harley, you know, covered in tattoos, black on black Harley, rolls up, and as I'm closing the gym, he tells me, hey, I want to learn how to box. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, everybody says they want to learn how to box. I was like, I'll be here tomorrow, 6:30, before I teach my class, come by. The guy comes by, you know, he tells me that, like, he used to train this, he used to train that, wants to learn how to box, and we box, and that was that. I didn't even think I'd see him again. This guy ends up coming the next day, working out once a week, then working out twice a week, then working out 3 times a week. In turn, he's referred me over 20 clients. At least 20 clients have trained with me from him as a referral. I would say 60% of them stayed, but he is literally one of, like, and going back to this, kind of getting off topic, I'm telling you guys this story, is that I always treat everybody with respect. Not everyone gets treated the same, whether, you know, athlete walks in, a professional athlete or somebody famous, I'm going to treat them the same as opposed to that guy on the motorcycle, because you never know who's going to help you out in your business. You never know who's going to benefit your career. Yeah,
so there's 2 things I want to say. Number 1 is that you hit the nail on the head with you treat everyone the same. We adopt that same philosophy in this office with every single real estate agent, and what we do by that is, whether you're looking to purchase a $100,000 condo or you're looking to sell a $5 million home in Corona Del Mar, for us, everyone is treated the same way, because the truth of the matter is, it's probably, if not the biggest, one of the biggest transactions of your life, no matter what scale you're on. And the second thing is, for those of you listening, that guy on the Harley was me.
I was just going to say, that sounds like you, dude. Like tattoos, black
I'm just
on black
kidding.
Harley.
He just got him lasered off.
It wasn't me. Okay, so you brought up something that I thought was really interesting, and I want to bring it up because this show is based on the business owner, the entrepreneur, and obviously, I mean, like, Entrepreneur 101 is, I've got an idea, I need to see it come to fruition. I need to make it happen in whatever scale that must be. And it's really taking the leap, going from this traditional W-2 job or whatever security blanket, the part-time job on the side that you had mentioned, to I now do this full-time. Now, next level, you're there. You mentioned a great point. You know, say you decide you want 12 clients a day for 6 days a week. At the end of the day, the amount of income that you'll be able to bring in will be finite because it's directly tied to your personal resources, right? So in a position like yours, what do you do to make that business model more scalable where you can maximize and continue to grow and not be capped out?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, time's a valuable thing in this business, and I've consulted, you know, different trainers and business guys that I look up to, and you know, one of the options is raising my prices, obviously. And to me, I want to stay loyal to the people that believed in my service when they first started. So I told myself, why would I do that to them? You know, why would somebody that stayed loyal to me, why would I up the prices on them, even though I knew my service is worth more? So I took another risk, which is, you know, what every entrepreneur is going to do. And obviously it scared me just as much as the first risk I did, which when I started, but I took a risk and I charged those people less instead. And I charged people a third of what they're paying, and I bunched up 2 to 3 clients at a time. So at a point I had 3 clients, you know, that were paying X amount. Now they're paying a third of that. They're training together in an hour, still getting the same service that I provide, if not a better service, because they have people to push each other. And in turn, I freed up another 10 to 20 hours in my week to take on more clientele, and then I'll train them and get them down with the system and get them acclimated to everything, and I'll charge them less and build off of that. And you know, I'm going to hire a trainer to work with me and shadow me a month from now, and she's going to be able to help me take on more of a workload. And hopefully, you know, down the line, I could hire multiple trainers to help me with the workload and really pass down the style of training and the ethics of training that I believe will make any trainer successful, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you bring up the point of hiring other trainers to make the business model more sustainable, because, you know, to your point, even if you raise prices, even if you doubled your price, you're still going to be capped out at this finite number. The number will be larger, but it won't grow. By hiring a trainer and people that you can delegate to, and especially when it comes to multiple trainers, then you really get to grow your client base and watch that income go with it. And I mean, the loyalty and the referrals just keep coming and coming. So another thing I want to talk about is your new apparel line. Mm-hmm. So it's called Night.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about this.
Night, yeah. I had a client of mine. I meet all my contacts through my work and networking, but you know, he's in the fashion industry and he's really pushing me, hey, you know, you have a certain unique style. You should really get into something with with fitness apparel. And after, you know, thinking about it, praying about it, or whatever, I said there's more to me than fitness and fighting and stuff. You know, I love to travel. I'm a big foodie guy. As those are the ways I like to unplug away from the fitness industry, and I know what I like in fashion, and so I kind of started it's going to be activewear, but also travel apparel, and I want to put more so a fashionable twist on it. Since the personal training and boxing business has been so successful, I'm kind of taking funds from that business and putting it to design stuff that I would love, that I would approve, that I would buy at South Coast Plaza or something like that. And going from there, it may not be the best financial investment, so to say. I mean, I'm sure I could buy stock, or I could, do other financial investments down the line. But right now, I'm just taking my success from the personal boxing training business and dumping it into another thing I'm passionate about, which is going to be, fashion and fitness apparel and stuff that I need when I travel, and stuff that I want to live the nightlife that I'm really trying to promote. More so a lifestyle brand, and building apparel and designs off of that.
I think if you invest in passion, you'll win every time, because you're probably not too passionate about the stock market, although it's a great investment vehicle.
I tried, but I'm no Jordan Belfort, so
yeah. But we've all heard of the guy named Elon Musk, right? And that's precisely what he did. Well, he dumped all the proceeds from PayPal, started Tesla and SpaceX. And, the guy is truly a visionary. And one of the things I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say actually today on a podcast that I was listening to, I love this. He said, any real entrepreneur, truly an entrepreneur, and he says, if you're listening to this and you think you're an entrepreneur, then listen to this statement, because if you really think that you are an entrepreneur, it's very simple. Entrepreneurs are not afraid to go to zero. And I thought that was just so profound and spot on, because these are the risk takers, and more often than not, there's a story behind failure that got them to grow. It wasn't like I risked everything and like 2 weeks later I was just rolling in money. It's like
there's always like a failure story.
Had to sell the house, or I lost the house, or whatever it is. And I think that, there doesn't have to be that magnitude of failure in order to be successful. But I do agree with the fact that your mind has to be okay with it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think if you're a true entrepreneur and truly want that success, because I know once you find that success, it's almost becomes addictive, like a drug. Like, it's not even about the money. You want to do great things. You want to feel that success over and over again. I feel that we don't want things given to us. We don't want the easy route. I know it'd be cool to do everything spot on the first time through and achieve it, but at the end of the day, we're okay with going through the challenges. We're okay with standing toe to toe with problems, and I think it builds us and makes us even greater. A big part in even boxing is very relatable to life and businesses. Life will fuck you up, man. It'll knock you down. It'll bring you to your knees, and it brings me to my knees every time I go through a tough time. But every time I get up, I feel like I get stronger and stronger every time. I better myself every time, and I refine my business every time I make a mistake, or the way I treated a client that wasn't supposed to be treated a certain way. I'm treating them better now, or providing a better service. It's always going to better you after you go through something tough. So to me, I'm to the point where holy shit, how many tough things am I going to go through? I almost not welcome it, but hey, I'm ready for it, because I know it's going to better me in the future and help me do great things. I think that's the true goal for any entrepreneurs, to just do great things on this world. I feel like we're put here to serve each other, and that's how we're going to get to it. We gotta take our passions and use it to serve other people.
So Jeremiah, you and I have met before, and one thing I've noticed, especially now as I'm cruising through your Instagram photos, is that, with respect to the fashion line that you're Knight, which is a KNGHT,
yes, minus
the I, you're a stylish dude. Where do you? I mean, you and I are about on the same level, maybe.
I look up to you.
You're sweet. You're a sweetheart. Where do you find your inspiration for
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up with two sisters. My older sister, she's very fashionable. She loves her designers, blah, blah, blah. I hate to say it, but she inspired me a little bit. And I would say the culture I grew up in, it goes from the music you listen to what you watch on TV, the people you look up to, athletes, celebrities, those kind of people you follow, and the people that really inspire you. I think that's where I get my inspiration from. A mixture between growing up with a fashionable sibling and being in the culture that I was in. It gave me a good eye for it.
Cool. So Jeremiah, I got 5 questions for you, and the first one, and one that I like to ask every guest, is what is your morning routine?
Okay, so Monday was probably one of my busiest days. I'll get up at 4 a.m. I got a little devotion I pull up on my phone every morning. I'll read the verse, the Bible verse that's there for the day and the meaning of it. Then I'll get up, turn the lights on, brush my teeth. While I'm brushing my teeth, I'll start the coffee maker. You could tell I'm pretty OCD about everything. Start the coffee maker, go back in the bathroom, finish brushing my teeth, throw my clothes on, grab my bag, grab my meals for the day, grab my coffee, go to my car, drive to the gym. I normally have a regular 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7, 8, and 9 a.m. client. Then I'll get a quick hour break. Then, I have an 11, a noon, and then I'll take probably a workout in between there. And then I have a 3 o'clock tennis kid. He's actually coming up. He's pretty good. 4 o'clock, and then a 5 o'clock client that I spar with. I work out with them. We'll do 2 guys, actually. One of them is that Harley guy. He's getting that good. So I'll spar with him and another client. So that's when I'll get my second workout of the day. Usually I have a 6 p.m. client, only a half hour. And then after that, I'm done around 6:30. I'll drive over to the 12 where I teach the last class of the night. And I'll teach the 7:45 p.m. class, clean up for the 5 a.m. class the next morning. I'm out of there by 9:30 p.m. I go home, do it all over again all the way up to Thursday, and then I'll do half of that on Friday. And I like to get away for the weekend and wind down, but it doesn't happen every time. So once a month kind of
you're a pretty busy dude. So what is your favorite quote or a philosophy that you live by?
It comes from that book, The Pursuit of Happiness, actually. And I remember when Will Smith played that role in the movie, he really, really put that quote into life for me. And it goes, don't ever let someone tell you that you can't do something. Not even me. And this is when he's talking to his kid. You got a dream, you got to protect it. When people can't do something themselves, they're going to tell you that you can't do it. If you want something, go get it. Period.
Love that quote. One of the ones that we always talk about on this show is you're the average of the 5 people closest to you. And in the entrepreneur aspect of things, like I think that ties in well with most people that are starting a business, or that are maybe in the midst of trying to make their footprint and struggling with what that transition looks like. Is there anything that like someone has said or written that has just resonated with you?
I wouldn't say there was so much said, but certain guidelines that I like to live my life by. I'm sure I could find a like specific quote about it, but it's not just coming to me right now. But I don't know. I just, growing up watching my parents who are 2 entrepreneurs, I was just always taught to work hard and treat everybody with respect and treat everybody well and serve the people around you. Those are my guidelines in life, is work my ass off and do good upon every person you come across.
That's a pretty good guideline. Tell me about your most difficult client that you've ever had.
Oh man, I had a lot of difficult clients. There's like 20 million run through my head, but I love them all. I love them all from the bottom of my heart. But there was, just typical client that'll schedule with me and show up 30 minutes late or cancel 5 minutes before. Makes it an inconvenience, but dealing with little things like that, I'm thankful to deal with difficult clients because it showed me how to refine my business more, how I should be taking my payments and how I should be building my schedule. So I've had many difficult clients, and I'm thankful for every one of them because they've made my business that much better.
And what is a book that you would recommend to the listeners of this show that might be along the lines of business, entrepreneurship, risk-taking, something that you hold near and dear to your heart?
There's this really good Dr. Seuss book that I like. And
is that Hop on Pop? That's what you brought in with you, right?
Oh man, you know what? I read the Bible every day. It may not be a book on entrepreneurship, but it's a book on life for me and guidelines and how I should run my life and how I should treat people a certain way. And I know I may not abide by everything. I'm only human. I could be hypocritical just like any other person out there. But reading that, I remember there was a good network marketing book my client gave me. It's called GoPro, I believe. It's more so on network marketing, which I know it's a very, very difficult business to be in, but very successful. He was in it, so I took that book upon him. I read this. I'm about 2 chapters into this really difficult book on investing called The Intelligent Investor. I think you posted it.
Oh yeah.
And it talks, the keys to that book that I really taken from just reading it is leaving emotions out of it. So that's another thing I'm trying to find a balance for. Okay.
So the last question is, what has been the best moment thus far in your self-made career?
Oh man, there's so many good moments. And you know what? Every time a client shows me their appreciation for me, whether it's just words or a text message, that's the best moment every time. Whether I got them ready for a wedding or they're just feeling better, or just to know that I'm appreciated and my service and business is appreciated makes me do. If I didn't have to make money and I was well accounted for, I'd do it every day just for that feeling of knowing I'm able to help people out and serve them. Those are the defining moments. And
you really get that fulfillment.
Yeah, 100%. A simple email, a simple text message, those mean the world to me.
So in closing here, your clothing line, when can we expect to see that get launched?
Kind of letting loose a couple pieces. I should have a sample for a couple shirts by the end of the month. I got a antique gold-plated leather snapback that's already in production. I should get a sample within 5 weeks of that. I'm working with a bag designer now that is going to be dropping a sick black leather gym bag that I'm sure people will love because I love it. I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
And
but he should have that a sample for me in May and building off of that. With this, I'm just kind of taking my time and not cutting any corners just to get some out quick or get my name out there quick, which is very tempting to do, especially when you see other designers out there putting out stuff and you're like, man, I wish I had my stuff out quick. But I'm just sticking to my rules and putting everything I got into it. So the longer it takes, the better my product will be. Okay,
and for the other dudes out there riding Harleys and tatted up, if they want to get into boxing, how can they get a hold of you? How do they contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just email jeremiah.maestre, jeremiah.maestre, maestre@gmail.com, or I'll be at American Gym Monday through Friday, almost there all day, 1638 Placentia Avenue, Costa Mesa, California. And if you don't catch me at American Gym, I'll be at the 12 Costa Mesa off 17th Street teaching the last class of the night. So all you stalkers out there, you know where to find me now.
What about
go find him.
What about digital stalking? How about Instagram?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm on Facebook, and then my Instagram is my last name, Maestre 23. So that's on my Instagram there.
And you know, Snapchat, bro. I mean, I just added you.
Yeah, I know,
Can't
right?
forget about Snapchat.
If you want the hashtag BTS, go follow me on Snapchat. It's the same thing as my Instagram.
I'm having a hard time keeping up with all of it.
I can't even keep up.
Jeremiah Maestre, everyone, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Again, you can see him at American Gym in Costa Mesa. I personally get coached by Jeremiah every Thursday morning at 7 a.m.
For you stalkers out there.
For you stalkers out there. And as a reminder to all of our listeners, RE/MAX Prestige fuels this podcast. We service all of Orange County for tenants, buyers, and sellers looking for VIP real estate service. Zero pressure and optimal results. Whether you're looking to buy your first condo at $150,000 or selling your $5 million luxury home, we are your solution. This week's testimonial comes from Julian Tuma, who writes, "Having worked with many realtors, it is rare to find one as good as Jay and his team. What can be a complicated and confusing process turned out to be an absolute breeze with them managing the transaction flawlessly. They are great at presenting information and providing multiple solutions during negotiations. They go above and beyond the call of duty, especially when there is a unique situation that requires extra attention, such as zoning issues, appraisal issues, property condition and repair issues, etc. They have been excellent communicators on every transaction, which is very comforting as a buyer or a seller. Furthermore, it is tough to find realtors that are as organized, composed, and prepared as Jay and his team. At the end of the transaction, all important files are sent in one organized computer file, which is great when one might have a question a couple years down the line. I am extremely happy with Jay's team and continue to have them represent me on ongoing real estate transactions." That's from Julian Tuma, a client of ours that we have done 9 transactions with thus far. So there you have it. Another example of our core philosophy, representing our clients' best interests at all times. Please like us on Facebook by searching RE/MAX Prestige, and feel free to reach out to us online at jay.o'brien, OBRIEN, at remax.net, or via phone 714-323-8542. Thank you so much for listening.
If you would like to be on the Prestige Living podcast or know someone that would be a great guest, go to www.prestigelivingpodcast.com. We'd love to hear your story.